Before I start this video, I just wanted to say thank you for watching my Mario 64 video, and even though I said I liked the game inside the video, and of course this is all my opinion, even though it's kind of not, because I kind of like the game anyway. Maybe I didn't make it clear enough in the video, but yeah, I do like Mario 64. Anyway, thanks for 30 subscribers as well, leaving my channel for a few days, and then coming back and seeing how much it had grown. I can't really remember how I reacted exactly, but I'm pretty sure it had something to do with my soul literally leaving my body. Okay, wow, incredible. So some people actually wanted more of these types of videos where I'd go back and review older games and see if they're worth revisiting now, even though I'm not sure anyone would actually care whether or not anyway. So after looking at my very weak game selection, I decided to choose a fan favourite GameCube game called Animal Crossing. Now I don't know if you've heard of it, but it actually released in 2001, the same year as everyone's favourite games, Pikmin, and Ghost Recon. Right, enough flabberjabbing, let's just talk about Animal Crossing. So the game opens on a train where you talk to a cat named Rover, who I'll talk about in a bit later. When you hop off the train, you realise you've got no money, so then you're immediately forced into labour. Okay, so Tom Nook, your employer, or in other words, your master, gives you a list of menial tasks for little to no pay at all. These tasks include things like delivering stuff to villagers, planting flowers, writing on the bulletin board, and my least favourite thing that he makes you do is introduce yourself to every single villager in town. The reason this is the worst task is because there's always that one villager that you just can't seem to find for some reason, whether they're being hidden by trees or just in any random building. And all of this time wasting is to help pay off the tax for your house, which when you think about it, Rover's the one who sets you up with the house in the first place, so did Rover just put me in debt without my consent? I don't know why I'm saying that as if consensual debt's a thing that exists. But I mean, I'll happily be in plenty of debt for a good looking house, you know what I mean? What even is that? Alright, hear me out. If disease was a house, this would be it. So Tom Nook lets you off like half an hour after employing you, which is not very good for you, considering you need that money badly. Also, I'm just thinking to myself how much more I'd enjoy the game if Tom Nook kept you working and asked for some shifts where you would go in the shop and work for like half an hour a day or something. I mean, it's not a thing that exists, I just thought it would be cool. So now that you're out of a job, what are you supposed to do? Well, you basically just rinse and repeat the same method of selling fruit and shells every day, and that's pretty much it. And just to add insult to injury, you might as well get paid in sawdust, because Tom Nook is not gonna be generous, believe me. You see, you find all these items across the unnecessarily huge map, and you know what takes up about 2/3 of it? Nothing. It's usually just a field of grass, a couple of trees, and if you're lucky, maybe even a rock or two. And the lack of things you can do with the overworld as a whole is criminal. You can either place flowers and maybe pluck a weed or two. It's things like weeds in villages, which we'll get to in this game, that just make it so frustrating to play. Because if you're someone with like OCD or something, and you don't like the idea of random weeds growing all over the place, you're gonna have this constant urge to just boot up the game just to check. So what can you do in this game? Well, you can boot the game up, you can walk around in circles for a while, shop for 2 minutes, fish until you're sick of fishing, and you can even turn the game off. Nah, I'm kidding. You can interact with your villagers if you want. You see, a lot, and I mean a lot of people, like to say that they like how annoying the villagers can get, which like, why? If I was a kid playing this game in the early 2000s and one of my fake virtual friends came up to me and just straight up called me fat or stupid, I would honestly be pretty upset, you know? I definitely would not be sat there thinking to myself, wow, this game's awesome, keep the insults coming guys, it's really motivating and it makes me want to play this game even longer. Also, one of the main appeals of a life sim game is that you can form bonds and stuff with the other characters, so not only do these insults not help at all, but also some of the villagers would just straight up leave. It doesn't matter how much you liked them, gave them, or how much you genuinely wanted them to stay in your village, because they would just drop by your house, give a heartless goodbye letter, and then you would just never see them again. So what else can you do? I mean, you could shop if you really wanted to. So there's 2 shops in the game, one of which being Tom Nook's shop, where you can buy furniture and whatnot, pretty basic stuff. And then there's the Able Sisters, which is run by a hedgehog called Mabel and her weird sister. And hear me out, there is no other character in a game that makes me as annoyed as this hedgehog, okay? I know a lot of cringe people would say something like, she's not weird, she's just misunderstood. Because if you're honestly going around saying things like that about a virtual hedgehog, I don't know, touch grass or something. Something else a lot of people like to say is that this hedgehog's introverted, but like, this hedgehog blatantly ignores you for like 3 days straight. And if you're going around purposely ignoring people for 3 days straight, that's not called being an introvert. That's just called being a jerk. Anyway, yeah, the fashion in this game. Honestly, there isn't many options. I mean, if you've got both the flame t-shirt and some shades, I'm gonna be honest, you can't really get much better than that. There are quite a few collectibles in the game though, like NES games being the one that people refer to the most when talking about just how good the game is. But I mean, if one of, if not the best feature of a game is just spending time playing other games, then maybe you're not a huge fan of the base game. Look, it's either that, or you just like playing Wario's Woods, which one is it? But it's features like this, and obviously the in-game clock, that make this game, unless you're really rich, require an entire memory card just to hold your save file. And if you do own a separate memory card with your Animal Crossing saving, then chances are, at some point, you've taken the memory card out the GameCube, looked at it, and thought to yourself just how cool it is that your entire Animal Crossing village is stored on one small card. I mean, surely it's not just me who's done that, right? And that's Animal Crossing. But real quick, I have a theory that I've came up with, and basically, my theory as to why the game runs off a real-time based system is because if it didn't, and you could just sleep to get to the next day like in other games, then you would be finished with the game in like a week or two. So my theory is that since there was such little content in the game, they had to milk it all using a real-time based system, but they just brushed it off as a gimmick rather than an excuse. Nah, I'm kidding. That theory is not true at all. But it just kind of makes sense in my head. Also, it's shocking to me just how many people view time travel in this game as big as a crime as they do. Like, what do they expect you to do? Okay, that's the original Animal Crossing for the GameCube. People like it. I personally think every other game that came after it is better, but you know, that's just my opinion. And yeah, I was talking about the game from the perspective of someone who paid £80 for this game, like I did, but after like a year with the game I sold it for an N64, and even to this day I can't tell if it was worth it or not.